For centuries, the Medici family has been remembered as patrons of Renaissance art, but their influence went far beyond mere taste. They were financial powerhouses, shaping the cultural landscape of Florence. In the 15th and 16th centuries, the Medici controlled one of the most successful banking empires in Europe, lending money to monarchs, merchants, and even popes. This wealth provided the foundation for their legendary art patronage. Through carefully calculated commissions, they invested in artists like Botticelli, Leonardo da Vinci, and Michelangelo, not simply for beauty, but to assert political dominance, secure alliances, and demonstrate their power. The Medici didn't just buy paintings. They created an entire ecosystem. Workshops flourished, apprentices learned specialized techniques, and suppliers of pigments, marble, and gold leaf found steady business. The ripple effects of these investments transformed Florence into a hub of artistic innovation, while also stimulating its economy. Their approach was both strategic and entrepreneurial. Loans, partnerships, and reinvestment of profits allowed the Medici to finance ever larger projects. A fresco in a chapel or a public sculpture was not just decoration. It was a statement of influence, backed by precise financial planning. The Medici understood that patronage could enhance reputation, attract talent, and yield tangible returns. By linking wealth, risk, and art, the Medici machine demonstrates that Renaissance masterpieces were not born from inspiration alone. They were products of calculated financial power. Every brushstroke, every marble column, was supported by complex banking strategies that ensured both cultural and economic dominance. Understanding this foundation is key to seeing the Renaissance not just as an artistic revolution, but as a financial one, where money and strategy were inseparable from genius. The Renaissance wasn't just a golden age of art, it was the birth of a bustling art market fueled by money, influence, and ambition. Wealthy patrons demanded masterpieces for private chapels, palaces, and public buildings, and artists responded to supply and demand like skilled entrepreneurs. Paintings, sculptures, and tapestries were not only expressions of beauty, they were commodities, subject to market forces. Artists charged based on materials, the complexity of the work, their reputation, and even the number of apprentices required. Pigments could cost more than gold in some cases. Imported marble had to be shipped from quarries miles away, and large-scale commissions often took years to complete. Yet the rewards were enormous. A successful commission could elevate an artist's fame across Europe and secure future patronage. The market was far from orderly. Competition among artists and rival patrons created opportunities for both brilliance and scandal. Fakes, forgeries, and disputes over payment were common. Wealthy families and church officials sometimes defaulted or delayed payment, forcing artists to negotiate or take legal action. Occasionally, political rivalries would intervene, delaying or canceling projects entirely. Despite these challenges, the Renaissance art market thrived. The desire for status, devotion, and legacy drove patrons to spend lavishly, and cities like Florence, Venice, and Rome became centers of artistic commerce. This environment created a feedback loop. The more money flowed into art, the more artists, workshops, and suppliers flourished, fueling innovation and further economic activity. Understanding this dynamic shows that Renaissance masterpieces were not isolated acts of genius. They were deeply embedded in economic realities, financial strategies, and societal pressures. Art, in this era, was both an aesthetic achievement and a reflection of a sophisticated, high-stakes marketplace where money, talent, and reputation collided. In the Renaissance, commissioning art wasn't just about beauty. It was a strategic exercise in power and influence. Rulers, popes, and wealthy families understood that grand artworks could project authority, legitimacy, and prestige. A lavish fresco in a palace or a monumental sculpture in a public square sent a clear message. This patron commanded wealth, taste, and cultural dominance. Artists themselves became celebrities, their reputations spreading across courts and cities. Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and Raphael weren't just craftsmen. They were influencers of their time. A patron who commissioned a renowned artist could elevate their social standing, demonstrating both sophistication and power. The fame of the artist reflected back on the patron, creating a mutually beneficial relationship where art was both currency and communication. These commissions had far-reaching economic effects. Large projects required a network of skilled labor, apprentices, masons, pigment makers, carpenters, and gilders. The flow of wealth into workshops stimulated local economies, attracted talent, and created jobs beyond the artist's immediate circle. Even suppliers of raw materials benefited, from marble quarries in Carrara to pigment traders in Venice. Art also functioned as political capital. The Medici family, for example, strategically funded churches, public sculptures, and private palaces, intertwining their name with cultural achievement. Popes commissioned masterpieces for the Vatican to legitimize their spiritual and temporal authority. Each work became a tool in a broader strategy of influence, diplomacy, and legacy building. By understanding these dynamics, we see that Renaissance art was never purely aesthetic. It was deeply tied to economics, power, and societal hierarchy. Every brushstroke, statue, and fresco was part of a sophisticated system where money, status, and strategy intersected, creating a lasting impact on both culture and commerce. The impact of Renaissance art extended far beyond the immediate thrill of creation and patronage. Many artworks became long-term investments, holding value across generations. Wealthy families like the Medici understood that owning masterpieces wasn't just about status. It was a tangible asset that could appreciate over time, securing their legacy for centuries. Paintings, sculptures, and architectural projects transformed into enduring symbols of wealth and influence. The economic ripple effect was remarkable. Renaissance cities flourished because of the art market. Florence, Rome, and Venice became hubs for artistic talent, attracting skilled craftsmen, apprentices, and traders. Workshops thrived, materials were in constant demand, and local economies expanded as a result. Art didn't just beautify spaces, it fueled trade, commerce, and urban development. Even today, the tourism driven by Renaissance masterpieces generates significant revenue, proving the lasting economic power of culture. Art also shaped financial innovation. Patrons and collectors began treating high-value works as assets, leading to early forms of art speculation, commissions with contractual terms, and financial arrangements akin to modern investment. Wealth could be leveraged, loans secured, and influence gained through strategic ownership of important pieces. The Renaissance art market foreshadowed the mechanisms of the contemporary art world, where fame, rarity, and provenance drive value. Finally, the lessons are clear. Understanding the economics behind art offers insights into the broader systems of wealth, risk, and social influence. Strategic investment in culture, whether through patronage or collection, has long-lasting consequences, both for individuals and entire cities. Renaissance art was not only a triumph of human creativity, it was a calculated engine of economic growth, political power, and societal advancement. By studying this period, modern audiences can appreciate that financial acumen, vision, and strategy often work hand in hand with cultural legacy. Art was, and remains, both beauty and business. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel to never miss insights into history, art, and economics, unlocking secrets that can change the way you see the world. The story of Renaissance art is more than centuries-old intrigue. It's a blueprint for understanding wealth, strategy, and influence today. Just as the Medici leveraged banking power to fuel masterpieces, modern investors use capital to shape markets, industries, and cultural trends. The principles remain. Strategic investment, calculated risk, and timing determine success. Ownership of high-value assets, whether art, real estate, or intellectual property, can generate influence, status, and financial security for generations. Renaissance cities provide a clear example of cultural economics in action. By supporting artists and monumental projects, Patrons stimulated local economies, created jobs, and attracted talent. This interplay between culture and commerce offers a timeless lesson. Investment in creativity is not just an aesthetic choice, but a catalyst for growth and opportunity. The modern parallels are striking. Today's art market, venture capital, and creative industries mirror Renaissance mechanisms. Scarcity, fame, and reputation drive value, while financial acumen ensures longevity. Those who understand the interplay between culture, economics, and strategy can anticipate trends, protect wealth, and cultivate lasting influence. By reflecting on the Renaissance, we see that knowledge, preparation, and bold action are as crucial now as they were then. History, art, and economics converge to reveal patterns that reward foresight and strategic thinking. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe now and join us for more explorations into the hidden economics of history. Learn how to turn insight into advantage, understand opportunity before it strikes, and see the world through the lens of strategy and wealth.